Welcome to this training module on CDP Public Cloud Foundation. Today, we will focus on the critical responsibilities of a Cloudera administrator. We will cover the life cycle of managing a CDP environment, from initial registration and user onboarding to security enforcement and workload provisioning. Let's dive in. Your journey begins in the Cloudera Management Console, the single pane of glass for all administrative tasks. As an admin, you are the architect of the platform. You are responsible for registering cloud environments from AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud and ensuring they are properly connected to Cloudera's control plane. You don't just manage infrastructure. You enable data consumers, data scientists, and analysts by providing them with secure, compliant workspaces. You also oversee the shared resources like catalogs and replication managers that span across these environments. Here we see the central role of the management console. It branches out into your three primary buckets of work: user management for handling identities, environment registration for connecting to your cloud providers like AWS or Azure, and shared resources for global assets. This centralized control allows you to govern disparate cloud footprints from one location. Before you build clusters, you need users. Cloudera supports identity federation, meaning you don't manually create every user. Instead, you configure an identity provider or IDP to allow users to log in using their existing corporate credentials via SAML. Crucially, you must also synchronize user groups. This ensures that a data scientist in your Active Directory is recognized as a data scientist in Cloudera. For automation scripts that run jobs or provision clusters, you will create machine users, which are special accounts that use API keys instead of human credentials. This flow illustrates the onboarding process. You, the admin, first configure the corporate IDP within the Cloudera control plane. Once you enable group sync, the IDP handles the heavy lifting of authentication. When a user logs in, their identity and group memberships flow securely into CDP. Finally, you manage machine users directly within CDP for your automated processes. Now let's create a home for your data. In Cloudera, an environment logically maps to a specific region and virtual network in your cloud provider, whether that's AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud. To allow Cloudera to build resources there, you must provide a cloud credential like a cross-account role in AWS or a service principal in Azure. The most critical outcome of this step is the automatic deployment of the data lake. This isn't just storage. It's a running cluster that hosts your security and governance services, forming a protective ring around your data. Visualize the connection. The CDP control plane uses the credential you provide to reach into your cloud provider. Inside a specific virtual network, it provisions the data lake service. This data lake includes free IPA for identity management, establishing the foundation for all future workloads in that environment. Security in CDP is layered. First, you have account roles like Power User, which grant broad abilities across the entire tenant. However, for most users, you will use resource roles. For example, you might make a user an environment admin for the development environment, but only a viewer for production. This handles infrastructure access. For data access, you use Apache Ranger. Ranger allows you to define granular policies, such as which specific users can query a Hive table or read a file in S3, ensuring least privilege access to your sensitive data. This diagram separates your security tasks. On the left, we manage control plane access using resource roles determining who can manage the environment or log into a data hub. On the right, we manage data plane access using Ranger policies determining who can actually see the data inside Hive tables or S3 buckets. You must manage both to secure the platform. The data lake is the heart of the Cloudera Shared Data Experience, or SDX. It hosts the essential services that must persist: Ranger for security policies, Atlas for data lineage, and the Hive Metastore for your data schema. A key component here is ID Broker. It performs a magic trick, mapping your authenticated CDP users to temporary cloud tokens. This means your users can access S3 or ADL's data securely without ever handling permanent cloud access keys. Because these services live in the data lake, you can spin up and destroy compute clusters at will without losing your security policies or metadata. Inside the data lake box, we see the persistent services: Ranger, Atlas, Metastore, and Knox/ID Broker. Outside the box are transient compute clusters. They connect to the data lake to authorize users and get metadata. ID Broker then mediates their access to the underlying cloud storage, ensuring consistent governance across all workloads. With the foundation laid, you can provision workloads. You have two main types. First, data hubs, which are virtual machine-based clusters using templates for specific tasks like data engineering or streaming. Second, data services like data warehouse and machine learning, which run on Kubernetes for modern, auto-scaling capabilities. When provisioning, you'll select templates like Light Duty for dev/test or Enterprise for production resiliency. Crucially, every workload you launch automatically attaches to the data lake, inheriting all the security and governance policies you defined earlier. The workflow starts with you selecting a workload type. You might choose containerized data services for warehousing and AI, or VM-based data hubs for traditional engineering or streaming. Regardless of the path, both branches converge at the data lake. This attachment ensures that whether you are running a SQL query or a Spark job, the same security context applies. Finally, the job isn't done after deployment. You must monitor and maintain the system. Cloudera Observability is your tool for deep dives into workload performance, helping you tune queries and control costs. For compliance, you will regularly check the audit events to see who logged in and what changes were made to the control plane. And when things go wrong, you can trigger diagnostics collections directly from Cloudera Manager to package logs for support. Effective monitoring ensures your environment remains healthy, secure, and cost-efficient. This operational flow shows data flowing from your running workloads into 3 maintenance channels. Performance metrics feed observability for cost optimization. Activity logs feed audit for compliance reviews. System logs feed diagnostic bundles for troubleshooting. These 3 pillars constitute your daily operational dashboard.